Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. He's going to do a quick recap of what we studied in the previous video, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about the 12 agile principles and how they are the building blocks of how we can structure agile projects. We can just get started, and we kind of got into like the whole agile mindset and the essence of agile. What is Agile all about? Like, what is the whole ideology? What is the whole idea behind Agile, which is about getting as quickly as possible to the market, as efficiently, and designing the whole project where the minimum waste, maximum efficiency, maximum value, and building motivated autonomous teams which are highly efficient and highly motivated. And we touched upon the whole ideas which kind of go into creating agile projects and agile teams. So that was the basics of the agile mindset, aka the essence of agile. So then we have the agile values which are built upon the agile mindset. We have agile principles built upon the agile values, and then we have practices like Scrum and Kanban, which are built upon the agile principles. So practices are kind of like how you structure the agile projects. And then we have tools and processes like softwares to manage projects like Jira, ClickUp, etc., and processes which are kind of in a way like Kanban boards and stuff like that. So Kanban means flow, and so this is kind of like the whole agile pyramid, and the agile mindset is the most important. And then we have the agile values, and then we have the agile principles, the practices, and the tools and processes. So this is another diagram which kind of shows, the whole idea of what agile is. That one was the pyramid, the previous picture, and this one is how important these different aspects are and how they are placed in the hierarchy of the agile project management or agile product management. So this just shows that the mindset, it's all encompassing, and it is on the right. You can see that graph, which shows that the higher we go, the more intangible that concept is, but the more powerful it is, and the lower we go, the lesser uh, the lesser powerful and the more visible that is. Like the project structure and the project practices will be very tangible, will be very visible, but they won't be without having that mindset. Those just those practices like Scrum and Kanban would lose their motivation, would lose their effect because they would just be lifeless. They would be like soulless in a way, and they would just be there, but they won't have that impact if we don't have the mindset. That's pretty similar to like psychology, how our values, play a major role in how we behave, like in cognitive behavioral therapy and things like that. How our values connect to our thoughts, and that leads to our behavior. And if there's some distortion in the values, it creates a distortion in the thought process. It creates a distortion in our behavior. And similarly, in the agile mindset, like if we understand the mindset, which is very simple, we can understand the values, and then we can understand the principles, and those principles structure our whole projects and the practices, right? And so now we're going to get into so we discussed a little bit about the mindset part. We're going to get into the values part. So when the Agile Manifesto was created, that was typically for software development. So it said four values were that individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working so we just discussed that in the first video that it's a lot about collaboration, rather than focusing on processes and tools. We just add more complexity and we use more resources. So we just want to be as relevant and as quick and as valuable as possible. So that is why it says individuals and interactions, collaboration matters more than tools and processes. Working software over comprehensive documentation. So again, because it was started as a technique for software development, but now it is used for almost all kinds of products. So I'd say, like utility and value over comprehensive documentation, because documentation adds complexity and uses resources. So then it is customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Again, the same concept. Responding to change over following a plan. So that is the whole point of being agile, being flexible, that you have to constantly evolve with the market and constantly be relevant and constantly innovate and constantly lead the market. So for that, you have to keep responding to change over sticking to a plan or a product which the market might not need anymore. The market might have evolved over that and they don't need it anymore. They want something else. So kind of like the smartphones totally replaced, the other phones like we used to have. And a lot of the companies which didn't kind of move to smartphones very quickly, they vanished because they could not respond to change that quickly. So that is the whole point of agile product or project management. So now, these 12 principles, these are the principles which really kind of lead to those four values. The mindset leads to the values, values leads to the principles, and the principles create the structure of the agile projects. Whatever how we kind of design the agile project, that is based on these principles, and which says that principle one says that a highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. So that is again the whole concept that we discussed. It's like being relevant, quick, adaptive, delivering value in stages, starting with an MVP, so that we can understand like what exactly the customer wants instead of planning the entire product in one go and then realizing that maybe you wasted a lot of the resources in creating a lot of features which were not required by the market. Instead of that, create an MVP, the minimum viable product, or the core value that you want to provide to the market. And then it kind of build on that product based on what the market wants. So that is the highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. So, like for example, if you look at Gemini, it started off like as a chatbot, it was called Bard as a chatbot, which would provide links to a lot of the questions you would ask that. So that was a minimum viable product. But, like from a branding perspective, people established that, okay, Google is also working on a AI agent like OpenAI. So that really led to a huge market market value, increasing the market value of the company because, okay, even though it was just like providing links, but that product was there, the MVP was there, and then people started interacting with it. So they could get the feedback, the analytics, of how people were using the product, and then through interviews and everything, they've been continuously building on the product, and now it has become quite a sophisticated AI agent, Gemini, which is actually competing with OpenAI's ChatGPT and a lot of other mainstream agents. So that is kind of, like continuous, early and continuous delivery of valuable software, starting with an MVP. And the second principle is welcoming change requirements even in late development. Agile process harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. So that is again same similar principle. It just focuses on the changing requirements. The third is delivering software frequently, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with preference to shorter timescales. So agile projects are structured in phases. Like typically a phase is 1 or 2 weeks, and each phase has a goal. Each phase of work, each phase of the project. Okay, like what is it is not about the feature, it is about the value that is going to be provided. For example, you're going to start a project about building a transportable vehicle, which is very cost effective, and it doesn't require a license, and anybody can use it and reliably go from point A to point B within a city. So maybe the first phase of work while you're working making the MVP could be that establish the uh, market relevance. So in 2 weeks, you conduct the entire market research, primary, secondary, user interviews, surveys, focus groups, and that is that is the goal of the first phase in those 2 weeks. Uh, so first phase of the project. So that is like we design the whole project in phases, and the whole project or the product is built continuously. And preference is given to shorter timescales because the shorter timescales, the quicker we can establish the fit with the market, get the feedback from the market. So that's why.